In November 2016, just weeks after President Trump's election, an unusual crisis unfolded in the U.S. Embassy in Havana. A series of experiences and theories emerged about a possible acoustic weapon that targets only U.S. diplomats and officials from all across the world and turns them into zombies. An American embassy worker dubbed Patient Zero complained of hearing strange, loud noises in his ears, followed by acute nausea and vertigo. This peculiar situation gained attention as more staff members reported similar experiences, annoying sounds in their head that resembled mechanical noises. This is the story of an unusual illness that seems to only infect U.S. officials and VIPs. This is the mystery of the Havana Syndrome. I'm concerned about the powers behind this because I believe it's an act of war by the Soviets, remaked Mark Polymeropoulos, a CIA operative who woke up in a Moscow hotel room with severe vertigo, unable to stand. He believed that the air in his room was weaponized by the Russians to turn him into a brain-dead person. People who experienced the illness described the initial noise as screeching, chirping, clicking, and piercing, followed by a sensation of intense pressure or vibration. In the following years, similar symptoms were reported by more than 1,000 U.S. spies, diplomats, and defense officials who were posted in China, Russia, Austria, Serbia, and many other countries. The U.S. still has no idea about who or what is behind these incidents. So what do we know about the Havana Syndrome? Let's find out. Before we explore this mystery, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more such stories. Similar to a plot from any spy film, the U.S. National Academies concluded that the most obvious explanation is that the U.S. is being attacked by directed and pulsed radio frequency, or in simpler words, microwave attacks. And many experts speculated it was Russia. The use of microwaves technology dates back to the U.S.-Soviet Cold War, when high-powered beams were designed to disable electronics. At the time of the Cold War, beams of microwaves were aimed at the U.S. Embassy building in Moscow, according to medical studies involving embassy staff. According to their records, the very first beam hit the 10th-floor U.S. Embassy, directed from an apartment building about 100 yards to its west in 1953. By 1975, there were two beams, one originating from about 100 yards east and the other from the south. During that time, the U.S. reported espionage was the most likely motive, with beams activating embassy bugs to interfere with American transmissions. A shield was eventually installed, and at least officially no adverse health effects were found. Since no electronics were disrupted during the 2016 to 2017 alleged Havana attacks, the U.S. determined that power levels were lower than the value required to cause electronic disruption. Is it China? Catherine Werner woke up with a jolt one night in 2017 by a pulsing, humming sound in her apartment in Guangzhou, China. She experienced severe headaches, nausea, and loss of balance for months, initially believing it was connected to high levels of pollution. Her mother, who had flown to help her, also fell ill. The illness didn't even spare Werner's dogs. Soon, Werner was transferred back to the U.S. and diagnosed with an organic brain injury. As a precautionary measure, the State Department tested about 300 other U.S. staff in China, sending at least 15 home for further tests. China, in reply, denied any role in what the U.S. termed a health attack. Canada does what U.S. does. After the U.S. officials, Canadian officials followed suit. A few Canadian embassy staff complained of concussion-like symptoms while in Havana, with one describing himself as a zombie. When dozens of Canadian embassy staff and their families also became ill in Havana, Canadian researchers linked the Havana Syndrome to chemicals used in pesticides, insecticides, and nerve gases. Cuba had launched an aggressive campaign against mosquitoes in 2016 to stop the Zika virus, spraying in and around offices and diplomatic residences, which was believed to be the reason for the illness. Is Havana Syndrome also psychological? Robert Bartholomew, a psychologist, compared Havana Syndrome to war trauma. A signature feature of shell shock was concussion-like symptoms. Other experts were not convinced. pointing out that the high number of complaints and vast geographic reach make the link to trauma or mass hysteria less likely. The US hasn't officially pointed fingers at any country yet, but if the incidents are related to microwave beams, there are plenty of suspects. Russia, China, the US itself, and dozens of other countries have active, high-power microwave research programs. Till today, no real evidence of any connection to any country has been proven. Nor has the illness been declared as a psychological one. Is it just rumor which originated in Havana? Or is it a New Age war weapon? While for the victims the symptoms seem very real and painful, many such questions remain unanswered and the mystery remains unexplained. Like the video if you agree with the US officials. Tell us in the comment section what you think could be a possible explanation. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more such content.